I relocated across the country 5 years ago for my job. My older siblings, Dwayne and Cora, remained in our hometown, whereas I established a life in Seattle. Our father passed away during our teenage years, leaving Mom with the house, savings, and his pension. Mom celebrated her 63rd birthday and mentioned she was collaborating with Dwayne, who had obtained a real estate license to manage her affairs. Last fall, the communication pattern shifted. Mom had always called me twice weekly, but suddenly she only texted, usually late at night. Her messages were short and ambiguous. When I requested a video call, she'd claim her internet was malfunctioning or that she was too exhausted. I offered to visit for Thanksgiving, but she insisted she was going on a cruise with her church group. Dwayne confirmed this when I called him to verify. I believed him because Dwayne had always handled Mom's finances since Dad died at Christmas. I sent gifts to Mom's address. Dwayne texted saying Mom was visiting friends, but he'd deliver the packages. When I asked for her friend's address, he said he didn't have it, but she was having a wonderful time. I accepted this explanation, though something felt off. In February, I received a call from the hospital. The nurse explained Mom had collapsed in a Walmart parking lot with dangerously high blood sugar. She'd been living in her car for at least 2 months. The temperature had dropped to 26 degrees that night. They found my contact in her phone. I flew home immediately. Mom looked small in the hospital bed, hooked to IV fluids. Her diabetes had worsened from lack of medication. Her fingernails were dirty. She wore 3 sweaters layered together. When she saw me, she just said, "I didn't want to bother you." The truth emerged in pieces. Last summer, Dwayne convinced Mom to transfer the house deed and accounts to him and Cora for tax purposes and to avoid probate costs. Once the paperwork was complete, they changed the locks. They told her she could stay in the guest house until they sorted things out. 2 weeks later, Cora informed Mom the guest house needed renovations. They gave her $2,000 and said she needed to figure something out for a few months. Mom used the money for a cheap extended stay motel until the funds ran out in December. She'd been living in her car since, parking at different lots each night, using gas station bathrooms to wash up. She'd been too ashamed to tell me. I called Dwayne from the hospital. "Mom's been homeless," I told him. "She's exaggerating for attention," he replied. "We offered her an apartment." This was a lie. The apartment was a single-room rental with a shared bathroom that cost $1,100 monthly. Mom's entire Social Security check was $1,087. Dwayne had been collecting that money too, claiming he was managing it for her. I drove to Mom's house, now Dwayne's house, where he lived with his wife, Catalina. The lawn was freshly landscaped. A new Audi sat in the driveway next to Mom's old Camry, which now had Catalina's vanity plate. Dwayne refused to let me inside. Through the window, I saw Mom's antique dining table, the one Dad had restored for their 25th anniversary. Catalina served coffee on Mom's china. I contacted a lawyer specializing in elder abuse. We filed for emergency injunctive relief and contacted Adult Protective Services. The lawyer explained that while the deed transfer appeared legal on paper, the circumstances constituted financial exploitation. 3 days later, we returned with police and court orders. Dwayne looked shocked when we arrived. He'd assumed I would accept his version of events. Arthur, Dwayne's attorney, tried to block the doorway. The police informed him of the court order. Inside, most of Mom's possessions were gone. Her bedroom furniture, my father's watch collection, the family photo albums. Ka arrived screaming that we were trespassing. She claimed Mom had given them everything because she didn't need it anymore. We discovered they had sold Mom's belongings through online auctions and consignment shops. The money had funded their new kitchen renovation, Catalina's new car, and a vacation to Europe. They'd told friends and family that Mom was in a lovely retirement community with round-the-clock care. Douglas, their accountant, had helped structure everything. He provided documents showing Mom had gifted them her assets. Mom's signature appeared on the forms, but she had signed believing they were routine tax documents. She trusted her children completely. When I showed Mom the evidence, she cried silently. "They're still my babies," she whispered. "I don't want them in trouble." But I couldn't let this stand. The lawyer filed civil and criminal complaints. Dwayne and Ka received notice yesterday. They've been calling non-stop, alternating between threats and tearful apologies. Last night, I found Mom staring at old family photos. "I raised them better than this," she said. I looked at my siblings' faces in those pictures, thinking about how they left our mother sleeping in a car while they enjoyed her home and possessions. How they watched her health deteriorate while telling everyone she was being cared for. They stole more than material things. They stole her dignity, her trust in her own children. For that, I will make sure they face every possible consequence. They thought I would back down like Mom did. They have no idea what's coming. First update. It's been 2 weeks since my last post. So many of you reached out asking for updates, and honestly, writing everything out was weirdly therapeutic. So, here goes. Mom's health is improving slowly. Her diabetes was way out of control. Her A1C was 11.2, which is terrifying. The doctor said she could have died or lost her feet if she'd gone much longer without proper care. We've got her meds stabilized and she's eating regularly now, but she still gets exhausted really easily. It's like watching someone recover from months of torture. which I guess is exactly what this was. I flew Mom back to Seattle with me since my apartment has an extra bedroom, and because I didn't trust Dwayne and Ka not to try something if we stayed in town. They know where all Mom's friends live, and I wouldn't put it past them to show up with some story about how Mom needs to come home. The night before we left, Dwayne showed up at our hotel. Not going to lie, I almost lost my mind when I opened the door and saw him standing there. He was doing this weird fake concerned brother act, asking if Mom was okay and saying they were worried about her. I asked him where exactly that concern was when she was sleeping in her car in freezing temperatures, and he just stared at me like I was speaking another language. Then he started with the gaslighting. He swears they had an agreement with Mom that she wanted to give them the house, that she was excited about her new independent living situation. I asked him if that independent living situation was supposed to be a Walmart parking lot, and he had the audacity to say that was her choice because she mismanaged the money they gave her. Mom was in the bathroom during this conversation. Thank God, because I came this close to physically throwing him out of the hallway. Instead, I told him that if he didn't leave immediately, I'd call hotel security and have him removed. He tried to push past me to get to Mom, and I blocked the doorway. We actually had this weird physical standoff where he tried to force his way in and I wouldn't budge. I'm 5 feet 4 inches, and he's 6 feet 1 inch, but apparently rage makes you stronger because he couldn't move me. He finally left after I pulled out my phone and started recording him. On his way out, he said I was turning Mom against them, and that I'd regret getting involved. Classic abuser. And Martin, the lawyer Henry, filed for an emergency conservatorship for Mom, and we have a hearing next week. He's also working with the police on the criminal elder abuse charges. Turns out financial elder abuse is a felony in our state, and since they took over $100K in assets, they're looking at serious charges. Here's where it gets even more up, though. We found out Dwayne and Cora have been draining Mom's accounts for years before the big house transfer. The lawyer got access to Mom's bank records, and there were dozens of loans and gifts to my siblings dating back 3 years. Each one was just small enough not to raise immediate red flags. $2,000 here, $5,000 there, but it added up to over $90,000. And you know what they told everyone? That Mom was the one with money problems. They told the entire extended family that Mom was making poor financial decisions and that they had to step in to protect her assets. They created this whole narrative where they were the responsible, caring children, preventing their aging mother from squandering everything. I called our Auntie Isolda, Dad's sister, who I've always been close with, and she was horrified. She had no idea Mom was homeless. Dwayne and Ka told her Mom was living in a very nice assisted living community that didn't allow many visitors. When Acela asked to call Mom, they'd say Mom was at activities or having a nap and would call back later. They'd even sent fake updates about Mom's wonderful life at this imaginary facility. Isolda is now on the warpath. She's contacted everyone in the family and set the record straight. Dwayne and Cora's phones have apparently been blowing up with relatives demanding explanations. The police investigation uncovered even more. Catalina, Dwayne's wife, has been wearing Mom's jewelry. Not just any jewelry, her wedding ring and the diamond earrings Dad gave her on their 30th anniversary. When the detective asked where she got them, Catalina claimed Mom insisted she take them because they were just sitting in a drawer. Anyway, Mom broke down when she heard this. She thought those pieces were in her safety deposit box. Turns out Dwayne had access to that too. The most disturbing thing we discovered was through Douglas, the accountant. After the police contacted him, he called me in a panic. He said he had no idea Mom wasn't on board with the transfers. According to him, Dwayne brought Mom to one meeting at the beginning of the process where she seemed confused, but Dwayne assured Douglas she had good days and bad days and implied she was developing dementia. Mom does not have dementia. She's sharp as ever. But Dwayne had been telling people she was declining cognitively to justify taking control of her finances. Douglas admitted he should have insisted on more direct communication with Mom, but Dwayne was so convincing with his concerned son act. After that initial meeting, Dwayne brought all the documents to Mom to sign without Douglas present. Douglas is now cooperating fully with the investigation and has provided all his records. And then there's Ka. While Dwayne has been trying the concerned brother approach, Kia went full scorched earth. She sent me a 5-paragraph text message calling me every name in the book, saying I was just jealous that Mom loved them more and that's why she chose to give them everything. She said I abandoned the family when I moved away and now I'm trying to weasel my way back in to get Mom's money. The projection is insane. I forwarded everything to the lawyer and blocked her number. Yesterday, we had a video call with Henry to prep for next week's hearing. He thinks we have an extremely strong case for the conservatorship and for voiding the property transfers due to undue influence and fraud. The criminal case will take longer, but he's confident there will be charges. Mom still has moments where she defends them. She'll say things like, "I'm sure they didn't mean for this to happen," or "Maybe they really thought they were helping me. It breaks my heart." The psychologist we're working with says this is common in elder abuse cases. Victims often blame themselves or make excuses for their abusers, especially when they're family. The hardest part was last night. Mom had a nightmare and was crying out in her sleep. When I went to check on her, she was sitting up in bed, disoriented, asking if she needed to go back to her car because Dwayne needs the guest house for storage. It took me 20 minutes to reassure her that she was safe, that she never had to sleep in her car again. I've never felt rage like this before. It's like this cold, hard thing sitting in my chest. I look at pictures of us as kids, Dwayne teaching me to ride a bike, Cora doing my hair for prom, and I can't recognize those people and who they are now. Our court date is next Thursday. The lawyer says we need to be prepared for them to fight dirty to claim Mom is incompetent or that I'm manipulating her. We have medical records proving she's competent, but it's still going to be ugly. I'll update after the hearing. In the meantime, I'm focusing on helping Mom regain her health and her dignity. And yes, I'm still planning how to make sure my siblings face every possible consequence for what they did. Not just legal consequences, but social ones too. Everyone they know is going to learn exactly who they really are. To the people asking if I'm afraid of destroying the family. What family? They destroyed it the moment they decided their mother was worth less than her possessions. Second update, court day finally happened. And holy, you guys, I don't even know where to start. I spent the last week helping Mom prepare for facing Dwayne and Ka. Our lawyer, Henry, warned us they'd likely try to paint her as confused or incompetent. So we practiced how to answer questions clearly and confidently. The night before, Mom barely slept. She kept asking if we could just work things out as a family instead. I had to gently remind her that they left her homeless while selling her possessions and wearing her wedding ring. That's not a misunderstanding. That's calculated evil. We flew back for court. Henry advised us to arrive early to avoid any potential confrontation in the hallway. Smart move because Dwayne, Catalina, and Ka showed up with their lawyer just minutes before the hearing, clearly hoping to ambush Mom. The look on their faces when they realized we were already inside was priceless. Their lawyer was this slick dude named Jeremy who specialized in real estate law, not elder abuse cases. Red flag number 1. When the judge asked about the property transfers, Jeremy tried arguing that Mom had gifted everything to her children out of love and generosity. The judge wasn't buying it and asked for documentation showing Mom's intent to gift rather than just transfer for tax purposes. That's when Jeremy produced a letter supposedly written by Mom expressing her desire to give Dwayne and Ka everything. Mom looked shocked. She never wrote any letter. The handwriting wasn't even close to hers. I watched the judge examine it with narrowed eyes. He asked if they had the original, not just a photocopy. They didn't. Convenient. Our lawyer presented Mom's medical records showing she was fully competent, contradicting their claims she needed help managing her affairs, along with her bank statements showing the systematic draining of her accounts. Then came the photos. Henry had asked me to document Mom's condition when I found her, so I had pictures of her sleeping in her car, her unwashed clothes, her insulin stored in a gas station cup with melting ice. The judge's face when he saw those photos, I've never seen someone look so disgusted and sad at the same time. The real bombshell came when Douglas, the accountant, testified. He confirmed that Dwayne had explicitly told him the transfers were for tax and probate purposes only, and that Mom would continue living in her home. He provided emails where Dwayne specifically asked how to structure things to minimize taxes while keeping Mom comfortable in her house for the rest of her life. Dwayne's face went white. Then the judge asked Mom directly what she understood when she signed the papers. Mom stood up shaking but determined, and said she thought she was putting her affairs in order so the house would automatically go to her children when she died, not while she was still alive and needed it. She said Dwayne had promised her she was just signing some tax forms and that nothing would change. Her voice broke when she described being told to leave her own home, how confused and scared she felt. Ka couldn't keep her mouth shut. She actually interrupted Mom to say that Mom was living beyond her means and they were trying to downsize her into something more appropriate. The judge shut her down immediately, asking if a car in a Walmart parking lot was what she considered appropriate housing for her diabetic mother. Ka had no answer. When Mom described how they'd changed the locks while she was at a doctor's appointment, how she'd come home to find her key didn't work, and Dwayne telling her through the door that she needed to figure something out, I swear I heard someone in the gallery gasp. Mom started crying when she talked about sleeping in her car, how she'd ration her insulin because she couldn't afford more, how she was too ashamed to tell me what had happened. Then came the cross-examination. Jeremy tried to suggest Mom had agreed to the arrangement, but changed her mind after the fact. Mom looked him straight in the eye and asked why anyone would agree to be homeless. The courtroom went silent. Jeremy tried again, suggesting maybe Mom had spending problems they were trying to protect her from. Henry objected immediately and the judge sustained it, telling Jeremy to stick to relevant questions. Dwayne testified next, sticking to his story about Mom wanting to give them the house, but he kept contradicting himself. First, he said Mom had always intended it as a gift. Then he said it was his idea to help her with taxes. Then he claimed Mom had financial problems they were trying to fix. The judge kept circling back, asking why, if they were helping Mom, she ended up homeless. Dwayne's answer was that Mom refused the apartment they found for her, Henry immediately presented evidence that the apartment cost more than Mom's entire monthly income. When Dwayne tried claiming they'd given Mom money to live on, Henry showed Mom's bank statements, proving no deposits had been made. Dwayne then said they'd given her cash, $2,000, which Mom had supposedly wasted. Henry asked what $2,000 was supposed to cover after 63 years of Mom supporting them, paying for Dwayne's college, helping with the down payment on his first house, and raising Cora's son. When Ka had postpartum depression, Dwayne had no answer. Catalina was called next. Henry asked her directly about Mom's jewelry. She claimed Mom had insisted she take the items because Catalina had always admired them. Henry asked if she had any proof of this gift. A card, a note, a witness. Nothing. Then Henry showed photos of Catalina wearing Mom's wedding ring at a party. 3 months before the house transfer even happened, Catalina's face turned red. She claimed it was a loaner that Mom had forgotten to ask for back. The judge wasn't having any of it. By the end of the day, he granted the emergency conservatorship to me, ordered a freeze on all assets that had belonged to Mom, and instructed the county prosecutor to review the case for criminal charges. He also ordered a full accounting of everything that had been taken from Mom, sold, or transferred in the last 3 years. Outside the courtroom, Cora completely lost it. She started screaming at Mom that she was dead to her, that Mom had chosen the wrong child, that she'd regret this. Security had to intervene. Mom was shaking so badly afterward that a court officer brought her water and asked if she needed medical attention. That evening, Auntie Zelda hosted us at her house. She invited several family members who wanted to see Mom and apologized for believing Dwayne and Cora's lies. Cousin Alan, Dad's brother's son, broke down crying when he saw Mom's condition. He kept saying he should have checked on her directly, instead of taking Dwayne's word that she was doing great in some fancy retirement home. Just when I thought the day couldn't get more intense, Uncle Antonio, Dad's brother, arrived. He'd flown in from Arizona after his older called him. He brought old family photos, including ones of our dad, and sat with Mom for hours just reminiscing. It was the first time I'd seen Mom genuinely smile in weeks. But here's the worst part. While we were at a Soldas, Dwayne and Cora went back to Mom's house and started removing things. A neighbor called to alert us that they were loading furniture into a moving truck at 11 p.m. Alan called the police, who caught them in the act of taking more items despite the court order freezing all assets. They were warned but not arrested since the ownership was still legally unclear pending further court proceedings. We went to the house the next morning with the police to document what was left. The place had been ransacked. They'd taken all the remaining valuables, family photos, Mom's remaining jewelry. The most heartbreaking moment was when Mom walked into her bedroom. Her mattress was gone. They'd taken her bed. She just stood there looking at the empty space where she'd slept for 40 years and whispered that she just wanted her pillow back. Not the jewelry, not the furniture, just her pillow. I had to walk out of the room because I was about to completely lose the police documented everything and added it to the report. They're now actively investigating for criminal charges of elder abuse, fraud, and now theft for taking items after the court order. Dwayne and Ka could be facing felony charges. We flew back to Seattle yesterday. Mom slept the entire flight, just completely exhausted from the emotional toll. I've taken family leave from work to help her get back on her feet. She has good days and bad days. Sometimes she seems almost normal, laughing at something on TV or enjoying a meal. Other times, I find her staring out the window, silent tears running down her face. The hardest part is that she still loves them. Despite everything, she still asks if there's a way to drop the charges, if we can just get her house back and forget the rest. I have to keep reminding her that they need to face consequences, or they'll do this to someone else. Henry called this morning with an update. The judge has scheduled another hearing to determine permanent conservatorship and to review the forensic accounting of all Mom's assets. Dwayne and Ka have apparently hired a new lawyer, someone with experience in criminal defense. They know they're in serious trouble. The prosecutor's office called yesterday. They want to meet with Mom to discuss potential criminal charges against Dwayne and Ka. Mom got upset at first, but after talking it through, she agreed to the meeting. I think she's finally beginning to accept that what they did wasn't just a mistake or a misunderstanding. It was calculated and cruel. To everyone who asked if I'm still planning my revenge, the legal system is doing it for me, watching them squirm as their lies are exposed in court, seeing the judge's face as he realized what they did to their own mother, knowing that their friends and family are learning who they really are. That's better than anything I could plan. But I'm not done fighting. Not until Mom gets everything back. Not until they face every possible consequence for what they did. They thought I would back down because I live far away. They thought Mom wouldn't fight back because they're still her babies. They were wrong on both counts. I'll update again after the next hearing. Thank you to everyone who's offered support and advice. It's helped more than you know, especially on the days when it all feels overwhelming. Mom's going to be okay. She has me now and I'm not going anywhere. Last update. It's been 3 months of absolute hell since my last update. I thought getting the emergency conservatorship would be the end of it, but Dwayne and Ka have turned this into all-out war. 2 days after we flew back to Seattle, I woke up to 17 missed calls. Dwayne somehow got my work number and called my boss claiming I'd kidnapped Mom and was trying to steal her money. My boss called me confused and I had to explain the whole situation. Thank God she believed me, but it was humiliating having to tell my professional colleagues about my family's dirty laundry. That same day, Kaya started posting on Facebook that Mom was having mental episodes and that I was manipulating a vulnerable woman for financial gain. She tagged family members, even my college roommate. People were calling and texting me asking what the hell was going on. Anta tried reporting the posts, but Facebook refused to take them down. We got a temporary restraining order against both of them, but that just drove them underground. Dwayne started calling Mom's old friends, telling them I was isolating Mom and stealing her money. Last month, we had to fly back for another court hearing. Dwayne and Ka hired a new lawyer, this slick guy named Jeremy, who specializes in criminal defense. Their strategy became clear immediately. Claim Mom gave everything willingly, then became confused later. In the courthouse hallway, Cora cornered Mom while I was talking to Alan. By the time I realized what was happening, Ka had Mom backed against the wall, hissing that she'd tell everyone about Mom's secret drinking problem if she didn't drop the charges. Mom doesn't have a drinking problem. She barely touches alcohol because of her diabetes. I yanked Cora away from Mom and she scratched my face, drawing blood. Security had to separate us, and Cora played the victim, crying that I'd attacked her for trying to reconcile with Mommy. The judge wasn't fooled. He granted the permanent conservatorship and ordered a full accounting of all assets. Dwayne lost it in the courtroom, shouting that we were destroying his family, that his children would suffer because of Mom's vindictiveness. The judge threatened him with contempt, and Dwayne stormed out. A week later, Catalina, Dwayne's wife, reached out to me privately. She claimed she had no idea what Dwayne had done to Mom, thought Mom had willingly given them the house and was in a nice retirement facility. I didn't believe her until she showed up at our hotel with Mom's wedding ring and diamond earrings, sobbing that she never would have accepted them if she'd known the truth. Mom was suspicious, but took the jewelry back. 2 days later, Dwayne showed up at our hotel screaming in the lobby that Catalina had betrayed him, that we'd turned his own wife against him. Security removed him, but not before he spotted Mom watching from the elevator. He lunged toward her, yelling that she'd regret choosing me over him. Mom had a panic attack so severe we had to call the paramedics. Her blood sugar spiked to dangerous levels, and she spent the night in the ER. The next morning, we found out why Dwayne was so unhinged. Catalina had filed for divorce and provided the prosecutor with text messages, where Dwayne explicitly discussed hiding money from the old lady and how they would spend Mom's retirement savings. Those texts are now evidence in the criminal case. The criminal charges came through last week: elder abuse, fraud, theft, and exploitation of a vulnerable adult. Felonies, all of them. Dwayne and Ka were arrested, booked, and had to post bail. Dwayne called Mom's doctor, claiming to be her primary caretaker, trying to get her medical records. When that failed, he showed up at the clinic demanding to speak to the doctor. They had to call security to remove him. He's now violated the restraining order, which could revoke his bail. This morning, we learned Dwayne has been telling neighbors and business associates that Mom has dementia, and I've manipulated her into making false accusations. He's trying to rally people against us before the trial. Aunt Isolde called to warn us that he's been reaching out to extended family members, spinning elaborate lies about Mom's mental state. We're looking for a new place to live where Dwayne and Cora can't find us. Mom doesn't want to go back to her house, even if we get it back. Too many painful memories. We're considering leaving the state entirely, starting fresh somewhere they can't reach us. I never wanted this war. Mom certainly didn't. All she ever asked was to live with dignity in the home she spent her life paying for. Instead, she's in hiding, traumatized, watching the children she raised try to destroy her reputation to save themselves from consequences. The prosecutor says Dwayne and Cora are likely looking at 3 to 5 years if convicted on all counts. Their lawyers have reached out about a plea deal, offering to return what's left of Mom's assets in exchange for reduced charges. Mom initially wavered. The thought of her children in prison still hurts her, but then she told the prosecutor to pursue the maximum penalties. As she put it, they showed no mercy to me, so why should I show mercy to them? Tomorrow, we meet with a victim advocate to discuss protection options during the trial. Mom will have to face Dwayne and Ka in court, sit across from them while describing how it felt to sleep in her car with untreated diabetes while they lived in her house. I don't know where she'll find the strength, but she's determined to see this through. Thank you, Reddit. Your messages have helped Mom realize she's not alone, that she deserves justice, that what happened to her wasn't her fault. Final update. Hi, Reddit. It's new update. So, Jeremy, their lawyer, approached the prosecutor about a plea deal. Turns out Dwayne and Ka were terrified of prison. The prosecutor offered reduced charges if they returned everything they'd stolen, paid restitution, and agreed to 5 years probation with no contact with Mom. Dwayne initially refused. He actually had the nerve to counteroffer, suggesting community service only. The prosecutor laughed in Jeremy's face and said they were preparing to add additional charges, based on new evidence from Catalina. Suddenly, Dwayne was very interested in the original plea deal. Recovering Mom's assets was complicated. They'd sold so much. Her jewelry, antiques, even family photos they'd sold to a collector who specialized in vintage Americana. The forensic accountant found they'd blown through almost $380,000 of Mom's money in less than a year. Dwayne had taken out a second mortgage on Mom's house to fund a failed investment in his friend's startup. They'd used her credit cards for everyday expenses like groceries and gas while telling everyone she was living luxuriously in a retirement community. When the final accounting came in, I nearly vomited. They'd stolen everything. Her pension, Social Security, life insurance policy, cash value, even the small inheritance she'd received from her sister. According to the accountant, they'd spent approximately $467,000 of Mom's money in 18 months. That included the equity from her house, her savings, everything she'd worked for her entire life, gone. The house was the biggest problem. Dwayne had transferred it to a LLC he created, then used it as collateral for loans. Untangling the legal mess took months. Henry brought in a real estate attorney who specialized in title fraud, and we finally got the deed transferred back to Mom 6 months ago. But the house wasn't the same. When we finally got access, it was heartbreaking. They'd remodeled everything, destroying the character of Mom's 1940s craftsman. Mom walked through silently, touching walls and door frames like she was saying goodbye. When she reached her bedroom, she finally broke down. I found her sitting in the middle of the empty room, clutching the only thing they'd left behind. An old photo album filled with pictures they apparently deemed worthless. Pictures of Mom and Dad when they were young. Pictures of Dwayne and Cora as babies. Pictures of us as a family before everything fell apart. We decided to sell the house. Mom couldn't bear to live there knowing what they'd done. Seeing the changes they'd made, it sold for less than it was worth before their renovations, which Henry said was typical for flipped houses with cheap materials. The money went into a trust for Mom that only I can access as her conservator. As for Dwayne and Ka, they both took the plea deal. In addition to probation, they're required to pay full restitution, $467,000 plus interest. The judge structured it so they'll be paying Mom for the next 20 years. Every month, they have to write checks directly to the Victim Restitution Fund. If they miss a single payment, they violate probation and go straight to prison. Dwayne's divorce from Catalina was finalized 3 months ago. She got practically everything since he's now a convicted felon with massive restitution payments hanging over his head. Catalina reached out to Mom to apologize again and returned a few more items she'd kept hidden from Dwayne. Last month, we received letters from Dwayne and Cora's probation officers. They're required to write apology letters as part of their rehabilitation. Mom couldn't bring herself to read them. I did. They were exactly what you'd expect. Self-serving, blame-shifting garbage. Dwayne actually wrote that they were just trying to manage Mom's assets more efficiently, and things got out of hand. Ka claimed she was influenced by Dwayne and didn't understand what was happening. Neither expressed genuine remorse. Thank you, Reddit, for all your support through this nightmare. Hug your parents if you're lucky enough to have good ones. And if you suspect elder abuse, don't wait. Act immediately.